Good afternoon, all. Today we'll be dealing with the modern age. The modern age spans from 1901 to 1945. So, about giving an overview of the modern period, it comprises of the Edwardian period. This period is named after King Edward VII and covers the period between Victoria's death and the outbreak of World War One. So, during the modern period, it happened under the political context of two World War. Victorian period ends after 1901, and it was the First World War in 1914 to 1918, and the Second World War was from 1939 to 1945. And King Edward's era started from 1901 to 1910, and after that it was King George V who ascended the throne from 1910 to 1936. So the modern period traditionally applied to works written after the start of First World War. It included bold experimentation with subject matter, style, and form. Many of the novelists, such as Virginia Woolf, James Joyce, etc., attempted a new kind of fiction. It was bold, experimental, etc. So the poets include W.B. Yeats, T.S. Eliot, W.H. Auden, Seamus Heaney, Wilfred Owen, Dylan Thomas, and Robert Graves. The major dramatists of the period were Tom Stoppard, George Bernard Shaw, Samuel Beckett, Harold Pinter, Carol Churchill, etc. So modernism started after First World War has broken the Western civilization, and many human beings lost their life in it, and also they lost the faith in the very essence of life. The traditional literary methods could not depict the harshness of situation. So this resulted in experimentation leading to modernism. It was a radical break from traditional methods. And philosophers such as Freud, Sigmund Freud, Karl Marx, Charles Darwin, and Nietzsche influenced the movement called modernism. There was a newness in the subject matter, and there was use of free verse. There was renewal of tradition. Although they rebelled against tradition, they were not completely averse to it. So, in the year 1922, you should remember it was the year in which T.S. Eliot's Wasteland was published, and Ulysses by James Joyce was also published in the year 1922. So, it is important to note that before all this, G.M. Hopkins' poems had elements of modernism. There were various schools in this modernist movement. There was symbolist movement, imagism, vorticism, avant-garde, expressionism, and surrealism. So, symbolist movement was a literary and artistic movement that originated with a group of French poets in late 19th century. Arthur Simons wrote the symbolist movement in literature. So it spread through painting and theatre. It was influenced by the European and American literatures of 20th century. So what did the symbolist movement do? It expressed the individual emotions through subtle and suggestive use of highly symbolized language. So using symbolized languages, it conveyed individual emotions, and hidden meanings had to be deciphered in the symbolist movement. So T.S. Eliot and W.B. Yeats popularized the movement in British poetry. Then Imagism was a poetic work that flourished in England and even more vigorously in America. It was associated with modernism. There was a direct presentation of images or word pictures. The images were presented with such clarity, brevity, and precision, and they were written in free verse. The major practitioners were Ezra Pound, Hilda Doolittle, Ford Madox Ford, William Carlos Williams, F.S. Flint, and T. Hume. Please look at the poem In a Station of the Metro by Ezra Pound. The poem is only one line. The apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bow. So it gives a complete word picture. And look at the poem The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. So, a mental picture or imagery is given through this sharp, precise, and clear lines, right? So, the movement is the practitioners of imagism were Ezra Pound, Ford Madox Ford, William Carlos Williams, F.S. Flint, and T. E. Hume. It was a short-lived movement. It began in 1912 and ended in the 1920s. From this area, you will be asked to identify the movement. Some indications or clues will be given. You have to identify the movement from the given clues. Then, Vorticism was another literary and artistic movement that flourished in England during 1912 to 15. It was founded by Wyndham Lewis. So, Vorticism was founded by Wyndham Lewis. Imagism was the major practitioner of Imagism were Ezra Pound, and Vorticism was associated with Wyndham Lewis. It was a movement that related art to industrialization. It opposed the 19th century sentimentality and extolled the energy of a machine and machine-made products. So it promoted something of a cult of sheer violence. That is, it was associated with industrialization and mechanization, how the external energy of machine and machine-made products were related to art. These are some of the examples of vorticist art. Esther Pound was also a part of vorticism, but he was associated, if from an examination point of view, he was associated with imagism. Their magazine, literary magazine, Blast is also important. Blast is a literary magazine of vorticism. The Germ was the literary magazine of pre-Raphaelite, periodical of pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. So, Blast was a literary magazine of vorticism. And the avant garde movement was a prominent feature of modernism, a group of artists and authors deliberately undertaking to make it new. So, make it new was a phrase coined by Ezra Pound. This avant garde movement was experimental, radical, unorthodox, and you could find many aesthetic innovations in art, literature, etc. So, the avant garde artists represented themselves as alienated from the established order. Then the theory of avant-garde is a work by Peter Berger. So futurism, expressionism, impressionism, surrealism, and Dadaism were associated with the avant-garde movement. Expressionism was a term from German. It departed from a realistic representation of life and world. So it incorporates the artist art visionary of powerful emotional states of mind that are expressed and transmitted by means of distorted representations of the outer world. Eugene O'Neill's The Emperor Jones, if you have studied or learned in The Emperor Jones, you will understand what is expressionism. That is, it incorporates the powerful emotional states of mind which is transmitted by means of distorted representations to the sometimes from our own past or from the outer world. It creates emotional effect. It expresses the meaning of emotional experience rather than physical reality. So that is expressionistic theatre. Eugene O'Neill used expressionism effectively in his dramas like The Emperor Jones and The Hairy Ape. Dadaism was an art movement of the European avant-garde in the early 20th century. It emerged in Switzerland. The peculiarity of Dadaism was that it rejected logic, reason, and aestheticism of modern capitalist society. So instead, it expressed something that we find nonsensical, irrational, and it was against an anti-bourgeois protest in their work. They had a discontent towards war, violence, and nationalism. So the techniques such as pastiche, collage, cut-up technique, photo montage, assemblage, etc. were part of Dadaism. Surrealism was launched as a concrete artistic movement in France by André Bertrand's Manifesto on Surrealism. It told a story or conveyed an idea where language and imagery that really is not connected in a logical sequence. Look, this is an example of surrealistic art. Dream and fantasy sequences, irrational elements, juxtaposition of contrast, etc., were peculiarity of surrealism. Look how time is depicted in this picture. So, according to Britain, the first literature produced by a group of surrealists is the Songs of Maldoror. The term surrealism is said to have coined by Guillaume Apollinaire as early as 1917. So Salvador Dali, who was a Spanish artist, is known for the use of surrealism. So it told a story or conveyed meaning via language and imagery that really is not connected in a logical sequence. When we look at the picture, we'll be confused by this, right? So surrealist art was, this is an example of surrealist art. And sprung rhythm, yesterday we discussed sprung rhythm. It was discovered by Hopkins, G.M. Hopkins, and it was a poetic rhythm designed to imitate the rhythm of natural speech. It was a variant of the strong stress meter, that is, each foot begins with a stress syllable, which may either stand alone or be associated with from 1 to 3 light syllables. When we discuss the slide the forms of poetry, we will discuss sprung rhythm, inscape, and instress in more detail. Poetic drama was written significantly in verse. It has existed before in works of tragedies, works of Racine, William Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, etc. It shows the signs of rebirth after 1920s, mainly by the efforts of authors like T.S. Eliot. The Murder in the Cathedral is T.S. Eliot's first full-length verse drama. Then, the historical context of the Edwardian era where Victorian period ends after 1931, and there was the First World War, which started in 1914. There were a period of great social change. Imperial domination continued, and after the as a consequence of war, there was a class difference. There was a wide difference between the rich and the poor, and liberal ideas became popular. And Art Nouveau was a decorative style that originated in France and flourished throughout Europe and America from 1880s to 1940. It had an affinity with pre-Raphaelites and Decadence movement. It was new drama. Novel was a popular genre. Numerous novelists were found at that time: Joseph Conrad, Ford Madox Ford, Rudyard Kipling, H.G. Wells, Henry James, etc. And poets such as W.B. Yeats, dramatists such as Bernard Shaw are prominent. W.B. Yeats was an Irish poet and dramatist. He was a pillar of the Irish literary revival. He founded the Abbey Theatre in Ireland along with Lady Gregory and Edward Martin. Abbey Theatre is important. He founded W.B. Yeats along with Lady Gregory and Edward Martin founded Abbey Theatre. And he received Nobel Prize in Literature in 1923. He had its own mythology, and he had a close affinity to occultism, etc. He was a symbolist poet using elusive imagery and symbolic structures. He was a master of the traditional forms. He had lifelong interest in mysticism, spiritualism, etc. So his art and politics are intrinsically linked. His stand towards Irish politics can be seen in many of his poems. The second coming is an important poem. Things fall apart and the center cannot hold. So Chinua Achebe later adopted this line for his novel Things Fall Apart. So Things Fall Apart, the line is taken from Yeats, W.B. Yeats, The Second Coming. So this poem's prophecies that Christ's second coming is due, and that the anarchy that has arisen all around the world, maybe because of the First World War, is a sign that the second coming cannot be far off. Sailing to Byzantium is another important point. It is a journey to Byzantium as a metaphor for spiritual journey. Eastern Irene 16 deals with the Irish rebellion, and Byzantium and Leda and the Swan are other important poems. He wrote a series of poems featuring a character called Crazy Jane who talked to bishops about God. So these Crazy Jane's poems are total in seven. They are in seven in number. The major poetic drama include The Land of Heart's Desire, Kathleen in Houlihan. It is a nationalistic one-act play on the Irish Rebellion of 1798. The Countess Kathleen was set historically in Ireland during a famine. So these are the lines from the Second Coming and Sailing to Byzantium. It is in Easter 96, which writes in the backdrop of Irish rebellion, that he writes the line, "A terrible beauty is born." Terrible beauty is born appears in Easter 1916. Rudyard Kipling was born in Bombay. He had schooling in England. He started his literary career as a journalist in India. He was the first man to get Nobel Prize in 1907. So he was the first Englishman to receive Nobel Prize, and he was the innovator of short story. Orwell called him the prophet of British imperialism. So he was a writer who supported the colonialist agendas of Britain. The Jungle Book is his famous work. Kim is also another novel. Kim Hara. Kimball Hara is an Irish orphan in Lahore and British India. And Rudyard Kipling's The White Man's Burden is a notorious poem on colonial theme. Do you know what they mean by the white man's burden? That is, the term became popular after his poem because, according to a colonialist point of view, they believed that it was their agenda to educate the rest of the nation. So they considered as the white man's burden to civilize the so-called barbaric nations or the nations under their control. So that is called the white man's burden. And he wrote this notorious poem which supported the colonialist agendas. So, If is another poem. His short stories include Ricky Tikki Tavi and We Willy Winky. H.G. Wells, you might have read The Time Machine or watched the movie The Invisible Man, The War of the World, The First Man in the Moon, and Modern Utopia are all written by H.G. Wells. He wrote science fiction, political, and satirical fiction. He is often called the father of science fiction. E.M. Foster he wrote Italian novels and English novels. The major themes in his novels are class differences, human relationships, racism, and colonialism. So E.M. Foster is a writer who is frequently asked for NET exams. If you can make your own notes for E.M. Foster, it will be well and good. So Where Angels Fear to Tread is one of his novels. A Room with a View set in Italy is another novel. Howard's End and A Passage to India was last of his five novels. Passage to India consists of three sections: the mosque, the caves, and the temples. So, aspects of novel is a critical work. It distinguishes round characters and flat characters. So, please prepare your own note for E.M. Foster. John Galsworthy was a lawyer by profession. He won Nobel Prize in 1932 and he wrote numerous novels and 31 full-length plays. Most of his plays or novels dealt with upper middle class lives. He challenged the ideas of Victorian England. The Silver Box was his first play. Strife, Justice, and the Skin Game are another important plays. The Fawcett Saga is a river novel by him. Joseph Conrad, his original name was Joseph Koseniowski. He was a Polish descent. He wrote psychologically probing novels. His novels dealt with the themes of guilt, heroism, and honor. Almayer's Folly was the first novel. The Nigger of the Narcissus, A Tale of the Sea, was the subtitle. Heart of Darkness is very, very important. It dealt with the themes of savagery, colonialism, civilization, racism, etc. The main characters were Marlowe and Kurtz. Chinua Achebe criticized Conrad's colonialist agenda in Heart of Darkness. Lord Jim and Nostromo, Under the Western Eyes were other important novels. So, Heart of Darkness is important. Arnold Bennett was another important novelist, short story writer, playwright, and journalist. Thus, the All Wives' Tale and Clayhanger trilogy are important. J.K. Chesterton was called the Prince of Paradox. We could find many Christian themes in his work. The Everlasting Man is one important work. Ford Madox Ford is a model of the character Braddock's in Hemingway's The Sun Also Rises. When we study American fiction, we'll know further about Hemingway. The Fifth Queen trilogy and Parades and tetralogy was written by Fort Madox Ford. These are not important, but we have to cover all the topics, so that is why we are discussing almost all the writers from the modern period in this slide. But you should study and read about only the important authors from this. First World War took place, and there were war poetry. And after that, there came the Georgian poetry. The peculiarity of Georgian poetry was that they popularized the rustic subject matter. They were romantic and traditional in tone rather than being experimental. So they were romantic and traditional in tone. W.H. Davis, John Masefield, Brooke, Thomas Hardy, D.H. Lawrence, etc. were the proponents of Georgian poetry. They had simpler subjects and they were against the experimentation of modernism. So, therefore, T.S. Eliot ridiculed their poetry as that of rainbows, cuckoos, daffodils, and timid hares. And the war poets included Rupert Brooke, Wilfred Owen, Robert Graves, and Siegfried Sassoon. They documented the war experience of the soldiers, the post-traumatic war disorder, then the earlier war poets presented as positive image of war. They later depicted the futility of war, etc. Rupert Brooke wrote war sonnets. His most famous war poem is The Soldier. Wilfred Owen said that my subject is war and the pity of war. The poetry is in the pity. His important work is the poem Strange Meeting and Anthem for Doomed Youth. So moving on to the dramatist George Bernard Shaw. He was an Irish writer. He was influenced by Ibsenism and naturalism. He won Nobel Prize in Literature for 1925. He was the first person ever to have been awarded both Nobel Prize and Oscar for Pygmalion, his screenplay. So he was the first person to have been awarded both Nobel Prize in 1925 and Oscar in 1938 for Pygmalion. His critical essay, The Quintessence of Ibsenism, is important, and his major works include Widower's Houses, Mrs. Warren's Profession, Arms and Man, Candida, Saint Juan, and Apple Cart. Bernard was a very prominent dramatist of his period. In Arms and Man, it is set in the backdrop of Serbo-Bulgarian War. It is set in Balkans. So, title is a satire on the opening of the word of Virgil's Aeneid of Arms and the Man I Sing. So, Serbo-Bulgarian War took place in 1885, and Reina Petkov, again Bulgarian woman, is engaged to a war hero named Sergei Saranov, and later she meets the chocolate cream soldier Captain Blanchelli. So they are the main characters of Arms and Man. Arms and the Man. Canada a Mystery is another important play. Characters such as Moral, Eugene, and Candida are the major characters of this play. Man and Superman include characters such as Mr. Whitefield, Ramsden, and Anne. Due to time limit, I am not able to explain each and every one of these plays. You should make a note of here on. So, Pygmalion was first performed in 16th October 1913 with Mrs. Patrick Campbell as Eliza Doolittle. So, the major characters are Professor Higgins, Colonel Pickering, and Eliza Doolittle. So, two old gentlemen, Professor Higgins, he was a scientist of phonetics, and Colonel Pickering was a linguist of Indian dialects. They meet at a Covent Garden, and Higgins bets that he can transform the Cockney-speaking Covent Garden flower girl Eliza Doolittle into a woman as poised and well-spoken as Duchess. So Higgins places a bet on transforming Eliza from a flower girl to a lady. So Pickering got him on by agreeing to cover the cost of this experiment. As a result, Higgins and Pickering started training Eliza, and finally she learns to speak properly. Two trials follows for Eliza. The first occurs at Professor Higgins' mother's home, where Eliza is introduced to the family of Ainsford Hills, and she passes on to she acts like a lady. And at the second trial, it happens at an ambassador's party, and it becomes a resounding success. So Higgins and Pickering are now bored with their project. This causes Eliza to be hurt. She throws slippers at him in a rage because she does not know what is to become of her. Because now she has transformed from a flower girl to a lady-like status, and also her status in the society has changed. She is a part of upper middle class now, right? So she throws. She doesn't know what to do now. Higgins tells his mother that Eliza has run away, but Mrs. Higgins, who has been hiding Eliza upstairs, chides the two of them for playing with the girl's affection. Colonel Pickering was always a gentleman to Eliza, but Higgins was quite contrary. He was kind of leading an unconventional life himself. So Eliza thanks Pickering for treating her like a lady, but threatens Higgins that she will go work with his rival politician Nepomuk. And with this, Higgins starts to admire her. But Elisa recognizes that Higgins is predestined to be a bachelor. She has affections for him, but she realizes that he is predestined to be a bachelor and she might marry another man called Freddie. But the play ends with an ambivalent ending. We don't know the sheer climax. So it has an ambivalent ending. Remember the characters Higgins, Colonel Pickering, and Eliza Doolittle. The Abbey Theatre was founded in 1904 at Dublin, Ireland. It is also known as the National Theatre of Ireland. It was closely associated with the writers of the Irish Literary Revival, W.B. Yeats, Lady Gregory, J.M. Finch, and Edward Martin. So, Irish National Theatre, it is closely associated with the writers of Irish Literary Revival. The key figures were William Butler Yeats, Lady Gregory, Zeno Casey, Edward Martin, and James Finch. The Irish playwright Zeno Casey was an Irish playwright. He featured dramatic realism and expression. He is known for his work Dublin Trilogy. It deals with the Irish War of Independence. The Shadow of a Gunman, Juno and the Peacock, and the Plough and the Stars are the three plays in the Dublin trilogy. The Silver Taxi was another play rejected by the Abbey. He left Dublin for London and he never lived in Ireland again. He wrote a six-volume autobiography. First volume is I Knock on the Door, then there is Sunset and Evening Star. So please remember that Srina Casey wrote Dublin trilogy. James Finch was an Irish poet and playwright. He was the co-founder of the Abbey Theatre. He was an important figure in the Irish literary revival. His first play, The Shadow of Glen, was produced at the Abbey Theatre. So the Riders to the Sea, the Iron Islands, and the Playboy of the Western World were his important works. Please do remember the Riders to the Sea, the Iron Islands, and the Playboy of the Western World are Jameson's important work. Next important writer is D.H. Lawrence. He was a novelist, poet, playwright, and critic. His features, that is, his plays and novels are featured on individual personalities. His novels become controversial for their frank treatment of sex, poetic language, etc. So, he was born in the mining village of Eastwood in Nottinghamshire, and he was a product of an unhappy marriage between a coal-minded father and a school-teacher mother. He was deeply attached to his mother, and many of these autobiographical elements can be seen in his novels. So, Sons and Lovers is an autobiographical novel. The main characters are Paul Morrell, Gertrude Morrell, William Morrell, Miriam, and Clara. So, it is an autobiographical novel. It's an example of classic Bildungsroman. That is the it depicts the growth of an artist from his childhood to his adulthood. So it depicts psychological realism. It deals with Oedipal complex. So the protagonist Paul Morrell is torn between his mother's suffocating love and his own two love affairs between Miriam and Clara. And the clash of classes can also be seen because hero's father belongs to coal mining class and her mother and his mother is a refined middle class one. So it also describes the destruction of the English countryside due to coal mining, and the appetite for technology and town building is also found in this novels. Then the Rainbow and Women in Love were written as sequels. So the rainbow characters in the rainbow are Tom and Lydia, Will and Anna, Ursula, etc. And Women in Love again focuses on the life of Ursula and her sister Gudrun. Women and Love is companion to Rainbow. So homosexuality occurs as a theme. It was originally conceived as one novel, The Sisters. Aaron Stroud, Kangaroo, Lady Chatterley's Lover, etc. and other important works. And his native poetry include birds, beasts, and flowers. His poem The Piano was taken by Aya Richards for a case study in practical criticism. Bavarian Gentians, A Collier's Friday Night, The Daughter-in-Law, Touch and Go, etc. are other important works. He had written many of the critical works based on the study of Thomas Hardy, Sigmund Freud, etc. He had a special interest in psychoanalysis and unconscious, Fantasia and unconscious, etc. And these are some of his short fiction. He is associated with the term blood consciousness. James Joyce was an Irish novelist and short story writer who pioneered modernism in literature. So he adopted the technique of stream of consciousness in many of his novels, and his first short story collection was Dubliners in 1914. This was once asked for net exam because Dubliners consist of 15 short stories. Then A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man is a very, very important novel. If you have time, you have to read a detailed summary of the portrait of the artist as a young man. Many of the questions regarding James Joyce is asked from this particular novel for an exam. So please do read a detailed summary and make your own notes. Due to time limit, we can't explain that. So Stephen Hero was the first title. His first novel was an autobiographical and Wildenstrom novel. The characters are Stephen Ridalis, Governess Dandy, Uncle Charles, Emma, etc. The concept of epiphany happens in this. That is the sudden realization or sudden revelation happens in this novel. James Joyce's Ulysses is his seminal work. It was first serialized in the Little Review and it was censored after the 13th episode. It was similar to Homer's Odyssey in plot and characters. Stephen Dedalus, Leopold Bloom, and Molly Bloom are important characters. The novel ends with the word yes. The novel was banned in US for its frank treatment of sexuality. And Finnegan's Wake, titled Work in Progress. So the 17 chapters were there, 4 sections. It was experimental language. It depicts the story of the Airwicker family. The closing line is the keys to given away alone to its last loved Lord. The novel ends with the word the. The stream of consciousness technique, the phrase was first used by William James in his work Principles of Psychology. Later, Dorothy Richardson introduced this technique in her work The Pilgrimage, and later it was popularized by Virginia Woolf and James Joyce, William Faulkner, etc. So, stream of consciousness refers to the continuous flow of sense perceptions, thoughts, feelings, etc. in a human mind. It is often introduced by using continuous unpunctuated sentence. That is, the sentences occur continuously without a starting or end. So it's a continuous flow of sense perceptions, thoughts, feelings, etc. in human mind. Esther Pound was an American poet and critic. He found the Images Group. He edited the Wasteland of T.S. Eliot, Make It New was his motto, and he was responsible for the serialization of Joyce's Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man and the publication of T.S. Eliot's The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Major work are Repostus. The Cantos are his unfinished 120 section epic in 800 pages. De Imagistus was an anthology of images poetry in which Pound's poem was included. So T.S. Eliot was a seminal writer of the modern period, and with the Wasteland, which was published in 1922, was very very important. So many questions are frequently asked from Wasteland and T.S. Eliot. You have to make your own note and study T.S. Eliot. He was a poet, critic, and playwright. He was a pioneer of the modernist movement. He received Nobel Prize in 1948. He was the editor of the periodical The Criterion and The Egoist. He was the director of Faber and Faber publications. The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock took epigraph from Dante's Inferno. There are references to Michelangelo in the poem. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I grow old, etc. are from Alfred Prufrock. The Wasteland is a central work of modernist poetry. It consists of 434 lines, and the poem was edited by Ezra Pound, whom he called the better craftsman or Il Magliore Fabio. And it was first appeared in UK in 1922 October issue of Relates the Criterion, and in US it appeared in the Dial. So it was published in book form in December 1922, edited by Ezra Pound. Then there are five sections. You have to remember the five sections in order: the burial of the dead, a game of chess, the fire sermon, death by water, and what the thunder said. You have to remember this in a chronological order: the burial of the dead, game of chess, the fire sermon, death by water, and what the thunder said. His critical works include The Sacred Wood, in which essay Hamlet and his problems appear, and his concept of the objective correlative appears in Hamlet and his problem. Tradition and individual talent introduces his theory of impersonality. Then he described himself as classicist in literature, royalist in politics, and Anglo-Catholic in religion. His poetic drama includes Sweeney Agnostus, Murder in the Cathedral. It is about the murder of Thomas Becket of Canterbury, the Archbishop of Canterbury, by Henry II and his soldiers. So, the family reunion, the cocktail party, confidential clerk, and the elder statesman are other important works. The poems include Holloman, Journey of Magi, Ash Wednesday, Four Portraits, etc. And some of his concepts are objective correlative, concept of impersonality, concept of tradition and individual talent, historical sense, and dissociation of sensibility. You will study all this in detail for PG. So if you can make your own notes about all these concepts, but otherwise you will study it in detail for PG. Now I'm not confusing you by explaining all this. So Virginia Woolf, the goat was her nickname. Married to Leonard Woolf, together they founded the Hogarth Press, and the Bloomsbury Group was founded by her. The Bloomsbury Group consists of 14 members. There were 14 core members in the Bloomsbury Group, and the 14 members were Leonard and Virginia Woolf. Leonard Woolf is her husband, and Virginia Woolf. Vanessa and Clive Bell, her sister and husband. Lytton Strachey, Roger Fry, David Garnett, Duncan Grant, John Maynard Keynes, Molly and Desmond McCarthy, E.M. Foster, Sidney Saxon Turner, and Adrian Stephen. Bloomsbury Group is very important. They had their beginnings at Cambridge. It included writers, artists, and thinkers. They were engaged in modernist fiction, post impressionistic art, aesthetic theory, cultural analysis, they had leftist leanings, etc. They rejected Victorian social norms, religion, and codes of behavior. They experimented in sexuality and family life. So they were influenced by J. Moore's Principia Ethica, and they experimented in sexuality, and they rejected the conventional religion, codes of behavior, etc. So 14 members were there. The Voyage Out is first novel by Virginia Woolf, and she introduces her famous character Clarissa Dalloway in it. Night and Day is a social novel. Mrs. Dalloway is very, very important. It depicts a day in the life of Clarissa Dalloway. It was set in London on 13th June 1923. So Clarissa Dalloway and Mrs. Dalloway is a very important novel. It depicts a day in the life of Clarissa Dalloway, and she's planning to give a party, She moves about teeming London shopping, and she is symbolically related to another character, Septimus Warren Smith, who is suffering from post-war stress. I mean, post-traumatic stress disorder from the war. So, a penetrating study of the life of the characters and their London background is dealt in Mrs. Dalloway. That is very, very important. You have to read and prepare your own summary for Mrs. Dalloway. So it deals with Clarissa Dalloway, her husband, and her old lover Peter Walsh. Then another character who's the alter ego of Clarissa Dalloway, that is Septimus Warren Smith, who was a World War veteran suffering from shell shock. So this is a very important novel. Please do read and make a summary of your own. If you can possibly grab the original novel, you can read it. Otherwise, you have to read the detailed summary. To the Lighthouse used stream of conscious technique, it depicts the story of Ramsay family. There are three sections into the lighthouse. They are the window, time passes, and to the lighthouse. Orlando, a biography, is a semi-autobiographical novel. A Room of One's Own, where she creates an imaginary sister of Shakespeare, that is Judith Shakespeare, is important. It is treated as a feminist Bible. Then Three Guinness, Provisions for Women, and Modern Fiction, etc. are important. The Waves, Flush, a biography. It is an imaginative biography of Elizabeth Barrett Browning's Cocker Spaniel. The Years is a social novel. It was the last novel published in her lifetime. Between the Acts was her final novel, and short stories such as Kew Garden, Monday or Thursday, that is Monday or Tuesday, are important. Aldous Huxley was a novelist, poet, playwright, screenplay writer, and short story writer. He wrote screenplay for films such as Pride and Prejudice, Jane Eyre, and Madame Curie. So, Chrome Yellow was his first novel. It satirizes the post Victorian norms of morality and fashion. Another novel, Handy K, is set in London. The novel Those Parent Leaves derives its title from William Wordsworth's poem, The Tables Turned. So please remember, almost all of the Aldous Huxley's titles of the novel were taken from some other poets' works. So you have to make a note of here on, because those barren leaves are taken from William Wordsworth's poem, The Table Turned. Point Counterpoint is another important novel. Brave New World takes its title from William Shakespeare's The Tempest. So it is his first dystopian novel. And Eyeless in Gaza takes its title from Milton's Samson Agonistes. So that is important. Island, After Many a Summer, Time Must Have Stopped, etc. are important work. Late modernist phase begins in 1930. There was high modernism in novel, especially in the works of Somerset Maugham, Evelyn Waugh, J.B. Priestley, and Graham Greene. And the poets of the 30s had left-wing attitude. So they were called pink poets and also called pylon poets, because it was an age of industrialization, and electric posts were also found. So they were called pylon poets. Roy Campbell ridiculed them as Max Pondies. So who were the poets of this group? They were W. H. Jordan, Stephen Spender, Louis MacNeice, C.D. Lewis, and Christopher Isherwood. So poets of the 30s are the pink poets, where W. H. Jordan, his Oxford companion Cecil Day Lewis, Louis MacNeice, and Stephen Spender. Please do remember the members of pink poets. So they sought solution to problems in politics and psychology. They had affinity towards left-wing political ideals, and they worked for the cause of mass. So that is why they were called pink poets. They believed in social commitment. W. H. Jordan was a war poet, and he wrote Look Stranger was his poetry collection. Other important poems include The Unknown Citizen, September 1, 1939, in memory of W.B.H. and in memory of Sigmund Freud. So, for the time being, The Sea and the Mirror, The Age of Anxiety, The Shield of Achilles, Homage to Cleo are other important works. The Dog Beneath the Sin, or Where is Francis, is a political play that he wrote with Christopher Isherwood. The Ascent of F6 is again another poetic play he wrote with Christopher Isherwood. Stephen Spender wrote, he was also a member of the Pink Poets. So he wrote an elementary school classroom in Islam. It's a poem written during the time of the civil rights movement. It is a commentary on race issues in American education. So it depicts the life of children belonging to slum and how they aspire to elevate in their social class, etc. So, The Trial of a Judge, The Backward Son, World Within Word, and the Oedipus Trilogy are works by Stephen Sander. Cecil Day Lewis was a poet laureate from 1968 to 1972. He wrote Overtures to Death, An Italian Visit, etc. Christopher Isherwood was a literary mentor of E.M. Forster and W.H. Auden. The Dog Beneath the Skin, or Where is the Francis, The Ascent of F6, it was a play he wrote with W.H. Auden, and On the Frontier were his important works. He wrote many works on Vedanta. He was interested in the Eastern philosophy and he wrote many works on Vedanta. Somerset Maugham was a playwright, novelist, and short story writer. His Half Human Bondage, Moon and Sixpence, Cake and Ale, or The Skeleton in the Cupboard, The Razor's Edge, etc. were important novels. J.B. Priestley wrote many plays, such as An Inspector Calls, Man and Time, Literature, and Western Man. Evelyn Waugh wrote satirical and comic novels. A Handful of Dust, the title is taken from T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, Handful of Dust. Scoop was a satire on sensationalist journalism. This was once asked for at exams. Which novel by Evelyn Waugh deals with sensationalist journalism? That is Scoop. He also wrote Sword of Honor. It was a trilogy based on World War II novels. Graham Greene is an important author. If you can read detailed summaries of his work, it will be good. So, he wrote four major Catholic novels: Brighton Rock, The Power and the Glory, The Heart of the Matter, and The End of the Affair. And his first novel was The Man Within. Then apocalyptic poetry became popular in 1940s. It was a reaction to poetic domination of Auden Group. So it was inspired by the notion of surrealism, stripped out of its automatism. Apocalypsism dealt in nightmarish images, it was engaged with mythology and meditated on war. It took the name from the anthology The New Apocalypse, edited by J.F. Henry and Henry Trees. It was followed by anthologies like The White Horseman and Crown and Sickle. So, The New Apocalypse is an anthology edited by J.F. Henry and Henry Trees. It was followed by anthologies like The White Horseman and Crown and Sickle. Dylan Thomas was a new apocalypse poet. He disliked intellectualism in verse. Fernhill was his best poem in October was written on his 30th birthday. Do not go into that good night, and death shall have no dominion. Under Milkwood Tree and Portrait of the Artist as a Young Dog are some of his important works. He also wrote many radio plays. Social novels addresses the issues concerning the society. It was popular during Victorian England. It addressed class issues, poverty, factory working conditions, etc. One example is that Sibyl or the Two Nations by Benjamin Disraeli. He discussed the difference between the rich and the poor. That is, nations existed in Britain. That is the nation of rich and the poor. So, Elizabeth Gaskell's Mary Burton is another example of social novel. It dealt with the employers and workers' relation. Charles Dickens, Oliver Twist, Hard Times, etc. Were also part of social novels. Psychological novels, it dealt with the thoughts, feelings, and motivations of characters from a psychological point of view. So events may not be present in chronological order, but they occurs in characters' thought, memories, associations, fantasies, etc. So Virginia Woolf's fiction, James Joyce's, H. Lawrence, etc. are important works. In science fiction, is about literary works that represented an imagined reality that is different from our ordinary present. So H.G. Wells was a pioneer in science fiction. His Time Machine, The Invisible Man, etc. were important. He was called the father of science fiction. It is often set in another planet or Earth projected into future. Sometimes there will be attack of the aliens. It also involves scientific advancements and technology that happens in the future. So, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is said to be a precursor for science fiction. Jules Verne was another science fiction writer in 19th century from France. His works such as Journey to the Center of Earth, 20,000 Leagues Under Sea, etc. are important. Ursula Le Guin was an American author who is known for her science fiction series. And cyberpunk is a more postmodern form of science fiction in which the events take place partially or entirely within the virtual reality of computer networks. The term cyberpunk denotes the virtual reality that it encounters with computer networks. Characters should be humans or artificial intelligence. Could be humans or artificial intelligence, and an example is Neuromancer by William Gibson. So, with this, today we'll end our section. Thank you.